Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Various housing associations across the whole of Scotland have written an open letter. They've all signed it, and they've all said to Humza Yousaf, please, for heaven's sake, do the decent and right thing. Unfortunately, they don't mean resign. What they mean is reverse the £200 million cut to the housing budget. But of course, he can't do that. He spent the money on other things. If it isn't independence, then they're not interested. That's why Angus Robertson has had his department, his funding increased massively, 11% in real terms. It's not that he achieves anything. It's not that he does anything. It's not that he benefits anyone in Scotland. It's just that he likes travelling, especially first class and abroad. And so obviously that costs a lot of money. So they've upped his money just to keep Angus happy. Meanwhile, of course, people are continuing to be homeless so that he can quaff champagne and eat caviar at 30,000 feet. It's not right, and they're telling him that. But of course, Humza will do nothing because he quite literally doesn't care. Let's take a look. So Humza Yousaf told to do the right thing and reverse cuts to the housing budget. But as I say, he can't. He hasn't got the money. He's wanked it away elsewhere. He doesn't know where he's going to get it, so he can't do it. Meanwhile, people in Scotland are going to get homeless in ever-increasing numbers. Now, of course, you could say, why aren't the builders building more social houses? Because they've cut 200 million from the social housing budget. So nobody's going to be building houses. Well, let's put them into rentals. Well, for years, the SNP has attacked the rental market. And so a lot of rentals, they've sold up. Those rental houses aren't there anymore. When you constantly attack landlords, the landlords have enough and they go, you know what, just sell up, take the money and sod off. And then they don't have enough rentals. So it does mean also that the rentals that do remain, the price of them goes through the roof. Okay, put them into temporary accommodation. Well, again, you brought in that stupid licensing thing about temporary accommodation simply because, you needed money. There was no need to license it, but by having a license, it generated money. And so a lot of the temporary accommodation people have just said, enough's enough. I haven't got the time for the bureaucracy. I'll just sell the property, bang, and it's gone. And so what are you left with? No rental properties long term, no rental properties short term. The housing market is in disarray. Nobody's actually building houses anymore because you're now bringing in the rules about building houses with heat pumps. Nobody's buying them, and so everyone's just buying the existing houses that have got gas central heating. And because all the money and all the capital from these house builders is locked into houses that aren't being sold, then they can't go out and buy new properties and buy new land and build new properties because they haven't got the capital back from the sale. They have single-handedly, the SNP have single-handedly destroyed Scotland's housing market because of Marxist ideology about, oh look, rental property can't have private renters. Let's get rid of them all. Let's attack them all the time. Attack, attack, attack. They all sold up and now it's like, we haven't got anywhere and there's nowhere to rent. Well, bugger me. Who'd have thought that could happen? Who would have foreseen that? Oh yeah, that's right. Anyone who's not a moron. Unfortunately, one of the entry requirements for the SNP is that you do have to be a moron. These people are out to lunch. Anyway, a joint open letter from the housing associations has called on the First Minister to tackle the housing shortage the Scottish Government has caused. And then by doing this, by reversing the cuts. Humza Yousaf, he said, should do the right thing and reverse the cuts to the housing supply budget following a hammer blow decision to cut it. It wouldn't matter now. As I say, it wouldn't matter now if he did cut it, if he did reverse it, because he's only going to put a bit of money into these companies, but they still don't have the capital to build because they haven't got the ability. They have to build all new builds with heat pumps, and they know they'll build them, but nobody wants to buy them. In an open letter to the First Minister published in the Daily Record, the Scottish Federation of Housing Associations, Homes for Scotland, the Chartered Institute of Housing and the Joseph Rowntree Foundation have all urged Mr Yousaf to think again about the cuts being proposed to the 24-25 budgets for housing and planning. With an ever-increasing population and no composite growth in housing availability, it means two things. One, a rise in homelessness, and two, a rise in the prices of properties, either to rent or buy. Either way, it's bad news for people who want to live in a home, because either the price of buying a home's gone up because of the scarcity, or the cost of rents have gone up because of the scarcity. It's all to do with supply and demand. And having, like I say, got rid of all those rental properties, it means the ones remain, their rents go up even higher, which means people can't afford to rent them, which means either they have to move out of Scotland down to England where it's cheaper, or what? They live in inappropriate housing. And this is why you're getting the rise of so many 30 and 40-year-olds still living with their parents because they can't afford to move out. And you're thinking, oh yes, but there's all these houses, we built all these houses. But all those houses with the heat pumps. The letter says, safe, warm, affordable housing is a basic human right. And that the draft budget is a hammer blow to the First Minister's mission for Scotland to be a country of equality, opportunity and community for everyone. That's the last thing he wants. He wants misery. He wants poverty. The SNP live on misery and poverty. It's the only way that people ever vote for them. They create the misery, they create the poverty, and then they lie to people and say it's Westminster's fault. And if you vote for us, it will be like utopia. Be the Garden of Eden. Except, of course, there's always a snake, isn't there? It urges the Scottish Government to reverse the devastating decisions it had made and prioritise resources to deliver more social housing. It's not possible. Like I say, it's impossible. Chris Burt, the Associate Director for Scotland at the Joseph Rowntree Foundation, said there is still time for the First Minister to do the right thing and reverse this massive cut to the affordable housing supply budget. To fail to do so would be baffling in the face of spiralling homelessness and the use of temporary accommodation. Never mind the Scottish Government's stated commitment to poverty reduction. Oh, they can state that they have the commitment for this, stating and commitments and announcing and things. Oh, so that's cheap. Delivering. First of all, you've got two problems with delivering. First of all, they haven't got the money to deliver. And secondly, really, deep down, they haven't got the commitment to deliver. They don't really want to deliver. They don't want to deliver happiness and joy and contentment. They don't want to give people security of ownership. They don't want to get people getting too comfortable by actually owning things or having somewhere to live. Because happy people don't vote for the SNP. Said low-income tenants will face increasing rents and insecurity as the supply of affordable housing stalls as a result of this cut to housing. This budget risks being a poverty-causing budget rather than a poverty-solving one, and the face of looming child poverty reduction targets is difficult to understand and even harder to defend. They're going to be putting increasing number of children on the streets. And why? Simply because Sturgeon had a bee in her bonnet about private landlords. Let's destroy private landlords. Let's get rid of all the private landlords. Look at them providing plentiful supplies of homes for people who will never be in a position to buy their own. Let's destroy that. And so she did. And Scotland has lost, over the course of this SNP government from 2007, it's lost 70% of its rental properties. Well, hasn't that come back to bite them firmly on the arse? Housing Minister Paul McLennan said the Scottish Government has led the UK in housing by delivering more than 126,000 affordable homes since 2007, over 89,000 of which were for social rent, including almost 24,000 council homes. We will invest 556 million in affordable housing in 24-25, the majority of which will be for social rent. The UK government failed to inflation-proof its capital budget, he says, and this has resulted in nearly a 10% real terms cut in our UK capital funding between 23-24 and 27-28. Oh yes, it's Westminster's fault. Of course it is. It's Westminster's fault that you chose to cut 200 million from the housing budget. You still gave Angus Robertson an 11% increase in funding. Was that Westminster's fault too? Coming up. The trouble with the SNP is they are completely and utterly moronic. They haven't got a clue. They talk about this and that and the other. Oh, look at it with all these green projects and all that. But it doesn't make any difference. Just build cheap houses, put them with gas, sell them cheap. Don't artificially increase prices. Stop attacking landlords. Stop the licensing scheme on short-term lets. And just let builders build. And sure, put money into the housing budget and say to the builders, look, we want 500 houses a year, social houses, 500 a year, all over the place. Bang, 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 bang. Off they go. Jobs are good. Stop interfering. Unbelievable. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Do please hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment. Please share the video, and I'll speak to you later. Bye.